All right, hi everybody. I am Alex Davies, one of the coordinators at Roadmap, and I am here with the lovely and talented Miss Morgan Long. And we are going to, ask a couple questions. You guys can kind of get to know her, what she's about, what she looks for, that kind of thing. So Morgan, why don't you, take it off and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name's Morgan Long. I'm a literary manager. I represent writers and directors, and in some instances, non-writing producers. I've worked a little bit in television development at Televisa USA and Lionsgate, and most recently at the Gersh Agency, where I was a TV lit coordinator, also representing TV writers, directors, and non-writing producers. So my background is most specifically in television, but have been branching out. I've also have a producing deal with Empower Pictures as an independent producer, separate from the management company. And have been branching out into digital features, virtual reality, augmented reality. And that's in short my background. Oh, my management company is called Requiem Entertainment, and I'm independently repping as of a month ago.
Oh, wow, that's super exciting. Congratulations.
Yes.
All right, so with all of that in mind, what are some things that you look for in a pitch, and like specifically a written pitch?
A written pitch. Okay, well, I look for different things in written pitches versus in-person or Skype pitches. But in a written pitch, it's all the first and foremost, I would say, formatting, which is really a lame answer. But considering that people on the receiving end of pitches read about 1 million pitches a day, you have just think of things that stand out. Formatting. We need to be able to easily scroll down and look for the name, the type of pitch it is, the format, whether it's for TV, an hour, a half hour, a genre, the genre, whether it's a feature or television. Some people just leave those out entirely and don't really think about the fact that we're not in their head and we don't know unless we read the whole thing. A really good start. Really starting out with a good world section. So like, what's the world? What's the world we're in? Can you make any references to things that already exist that we can use as examples? Like it's Harry Potter meets Game of Thrones or whatever. It sounds cheesy and overdone, but it's actually extremely helpful. And then if it's television, a really solid pilot outline and a series overview and character breakdowns. If it's a feature, obviously not the pilot outline, but a really solid summary as well as character breakdowns. I would say in general, that's the easiest format that I look for. If it's something that's a little too out of the box, sometimes it can be really distracting. Also, pitches should really match the tone of the genre that they're pitching. So if it's a comedy, the pitch should be funny. If it's a drama, the pitch should be, it shouldn't be cracking jokes. So try and match the writing style to the script itself.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And you like to have like titles, like headlines of, okay, characters.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Just try and dumb it down for the execs as much as possible. Honestly, I think there's a lot of pressure on making this pitch doc your masterpiece, but it's really just an aid to help us say yes or no. Like, I'm going to read further, or no, I'm not going to read further. That's all that it really is. There's not a ton of pressure on it, but just try and make it as straightforward as possible. And that's why I think I look for different things in written versus verbal pitches, because in verbal pitches, it's a lot more about the presentation, the grabbing, the hooking. All that said, in a written pitch, you definitely need to hook us, there's more emphasis on the log line to do. Which we may or may not get into further later, but does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of, like things that writers can add or maybe should omit, do you like writers to sometimes add a little bit about themselves, like a little bio, or, maybe like omit screenplay awards or something like that? Like, what's your take on that kind of thing?
It's hard to know what's relevant and what's not relevant information to put in about yourself. I would say omit any bio unless you already have pre-existing credits, legitimate credits. There are a few screenplay competitions and festivals that are noteworthy. I know that I've presented this to Tarini before, so she might have a list that's more easily distributable. But blacklist, tracking board, final draft, any big festivals, try and avoid local festivals and things like that. Nichols semi-finalist or finalist. I think those are pretty much the contests that are worthy of that are noteworthy. Anything other than that, those mostly exist for your own, a blood list, slam dance, things like that. Anything else is pretty much just exists for your own feedback. They're not really going to get you eyeballs as far as representation goes, so I would omit those.
Yeah. All right, great. Sounds good. And you kind of already answered the whole, do we pitch different genres differently? So, in a drama, we're not, right. And that kind of deal.
Yeah, I think it's more common in comedy to be too somber. I think it's fine. It's fine to have comic relief in a drama pitch as long as it's just not jarring. Usually the struggle is to make a comedy pitch funny, because if people are really harsh judges of comedy too. It's really, really hard to pitch comedy. And so I think you need understand that if you can't make somebody laugh in person or on the page in a pitch, you probably can't make them laugh in a script. And so that is very crucial, that there has to be laughs in the presentation, whether it's a pitch, a script, or the finished product on screen.
Nice. All right. So let's say, you do get, like, the pitch is great and you like the writer and you're like, I really want to read some pages from you. What are some of the best things that a writer could do, or conversely not do, to get you hooked by page 15? So you're like, I have to keep reading, as opposed to setting it down and running away.
Right. More so than quality of writing, which I realize is a pretty broad term, but more so than that general idea of just solid writing style is, have I seen this before? Chances are I've seen it before at least once or twice, but have I seen this before 10 or 15 times? Page 15 has to be I think high concepts are pretty much the only thing that are really selling, even if it's really grounded. It's like this meets this, or it's something really high concept. Just, I need to know by page 15. It's more about the world than it is about the characters and the structure and the dialogue. It's more about the world in the first 15 pages. It's like, is this an interesting enough world? Especially because my background's television. Is this a world that people are going to tune into? Is this a world that we haven't seen yet before that I believe characters can thrive in? Yeah, long story short, have I seen this 10 or 15 times before?
All right, cool. So now kind of like zooming back out from the really specifics to more like macro business stuff. How many scripts should a writer have before they approach a manager?
Definitely more than one. There's a lot of questions surrounding, should I brand myself now versus later? I don't think there's a right answer to that. I think if you really, truly believe you're talented at multiple genres, especially genres that still fall under, I think comedy or drama, try and brand yourself between those two. But if you're like, I write thrillers, but I also write rom-coms, or not even rom-coms, like I write coming of age YA, but I also write thrillers. Like if they're both under under drama, then it's fine. It's actually preferred to have a diversity in your samples, in your body of work. But because of that, I would say it's helpful to at least have two samples. If you're TV and features, I would say it's helpful to have 2 TV pilots and 1 feature. I would say definitely have at least 1 TV pilot. It's really hard to break in if you only have a feature. There are pretty much no managers taking on strictly feature clients because it's just really hard to find consistent work for people who aren't willing to do episodic. 2 or 3.
Got it. All right, writers, take note. Get writing. Okay, so, beyond like the sort of art of the writing and all of that kind of stuff, what are some other other clients, other attributes that you would look for in a client?
Oh man, I think I've said this before in like a webinar or something, but I think I rate attractiveness of potential clients. And this is what I used to say when I was at the agency. It's less harsh now that I'm in management, because you can really pursue people you're just passionate about. But from a strictly commercial agency point of view, it's pretty much always pre-established credits, pre-established relationships, women in diversity, personality, and people skills, especially in television, because it's a very collaborative medium. You have to go pitch, you have to be in a writer's room, and then talent. And that's extreme. I don't really see it that way anymore, because I think I have time to really work with people to help them now, whereas before I didn't. And so you pretty much have to come ready to already make money. Like, you have to already have been making money to be attracted to an agency as a writer. And all of those things really make a difference. It's so much easier to pick up the phone and say, this person has been hustling for a long time. They already know people at all these companies. It's easier to follow up on relationships that you already have. It's easier to sell you if you're female or diverse. It's also a pretty ageist industry. So I strategize differently for clients that aren't under 35 than I do for clients who are older than 35. It's not impossible to break in, but it's just a completely different strategy, and it's easier if you're younger. So all things to know, they're not necessarily handicaps if you're a white male over 35, but you just have to strategize differently.
Yeah. All right. I see. So, we've covered a lot of ground here, but for like these writers who are going to be sending in material to you, what are some of your like specific tastes? Like, what do you just like?
When I was at the agency, I had two niches that I worked in specifically. One was international crossover talent, and the other was faith and family and young adult. Just because of personal interest, I guess. It's just you're allowed to hone whichever areas of interest that you have, and I gravitate towards kind of faith, family, kid stuff a lot. And I also really found a niche in international crossover because of my previous job at Televisa, where a lot of the job was selling formats, so Spanish language shows to adapt to US American mainstream content. And a lot of the clients I work with now are easy for me to sell because I have an interest in traveling and an interest in language, and I watch a lot of foreign TV shows. It's easy for me to connect with people who already have that inherent value as a client, that they've worked in other countries before. And usually they add a diversity aspect, whether they're considered, ethnically or racially diverse or not. Sometimes they are, if they're specifically from Asia or Latin America or Turkey, which are areas I work with a lot. But even if they're like British, it's just easy to go discover those people who have already been working that haven't been poached yet by bigger management companies or agencies here. So that's something, anything that can, and if you're American, anything that can sell abroad, anything that's international in scope and appeal, those are buyers that I have the best relationships with here, are international co-pro people, acquisitions and licensing people, people who can take independent television or something that's co-produced in one country and can be backed in domestically here. These are all, it's probably all too much information, but that happens to be one of my, the type of client I get the most excited about.
All right. Yeah, sounds great. Well, that is the end of my list of questions. We have conquered it. We've done it. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to, add to, let the kids know before we end?
Yes, I think there's one general piece of advice that I would give to anybody at all times is really try and stay on top of Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter. Know what's out there, know what the marketplace looks like. It's just a way to really give yourself a competitive edge. You could be the best writer in the world and have no idea what people are buying, and it only works to your advantage to be aware of what you're up against, and what's selling, what's not selling, and not that you should always cater so much to the marketplace, but it's always just good to be informed, to be your own manager, to be your own agent, and not wait around for people to, you know, be your saviors, but to just do the work for yourself. And that's when people will gravitate towards you and want to sign you.
All right. That sounds great.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Morgan.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too. And bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Later times.
Bye.